to go through that binder. Well, we'll go through the binder with you and explain each thing that's in there. But these were the introductions that we went through. Tonight we're going to share resources with you guys through the PowerPoint, the binders, which are the paper resources, discussions, and why is to empower you guys to make informed decisions when exiting Carroll County Public Schools. So I'll go through some of the binder stuff in general, and we'll go through them a little bit more in detail in a moment. But in your binder, there is a set of dividers that look like this. So all these dividers, you can file whatever you need to behind here. So current IEP, progress reports, current evaluations, can be CCPS documents or outside agencies, medical records, special ed records, community resources, legal and financial documents, samples wrong, work samples, report cards, interims, waivers. So if your child is on any waivers, DDA, autism, REM is another one. You could put that behind there. And if you have DOORS information, that could also be in there as well. Oh, and also I should have told you the PowerPoint's also in the front of that, so you can follow along with that. Also in your binder are going to be the GTYI, which is Governor's Transitioning Youth Initiative timeline. I'll go through that. Also, SSI resources, secondary transition, digital portfolio. Julie will talk a little bit about that. MBA resources, an adult questionnaire, Maryland Digital Assistance Program, Maryland Think, the Image Center of Maryland, and must-have papers, which I got off of website. We'll reference them in a minute. This paper is the Governor's Transitioning Youth Timeline. I love this timeline. This actually came from a DDA provider called Service Coordination, so they get all the credit for this. But it's a really nice snapshot of what you need to do and when you're looking at your child. So between the ages of 14 and 18, apply to DDA and DOORS. And if your child is 14 or up, DDA, DOORS representative likely has come to your IEP meeting. If you need information on DOORS, you are more than welcome to reach out to probably Julie or myself, and I can get you that information. 18, apply for SSI, and we'll talk about this a smidgen. We're looking at doing a presentation next year in regards to SSI and medical assistance, but if your child qualifies for SSI at the age of 18, they automatically get medical assistance. And then 19, explore post-secondary options, and then at 20, contact, interview, and choose your provider. So the first document, the next document in there is information about DDA. And we can talk about this when we stop recording, but if you have not applied for DDA, I would be more than happy to help you with that. I probably do like 14 or 15 of them a year, and I don't mind helping you walk through that process. I can send you a link to my calendar so that we can connect and do that. But that's the application, a QR code to the application if you wanted to look it up. And then right below that is just a basic visual to explain the DDA, the overarching part of DDA. And this is not all inclusive, by the way, but Service Coordination is one of the agencies, Optimal Health, MMRs, and there's a lot more DDA agencies that fall under that. If your child gets DDA and you choose one of those agencies, the next thing would be they would be assigned a coordinator of community service. I kind of equate some of this to if you file for DDA and your child is accepted and they get DDA, then the coordinator of community service is kind of like choosing Carroll County to live in. You would choose the coordinator of community service kind of like that as the agency. After that, you would be assigned a person to help you navigate some of the waters. It's kind of like getting assigned a case manager in school. So a part of the coordinators of community service, there's the family supports waiver, community supports waiver, and there's the community pathways waiver. These are 3 waivers that fall under DDA. And also the adult agencies that would be able to help. I don't know if you guys were able to come to the resource center or transition fair that we had in March, but a lot of those folks were at that fair. If you need more information on that, I can send you out the resource fair brochure, which we have hyperlinked a lot of those agencies. So you can just click on it and look up some of those agencies to see what supports they can provide through DDA. And actually there's one I just learned about today, Marvelous in Westminster. You don't need to have DDA to access them. Are you gonna say something? Okay. They provide respite, but I found out from a parent today that you don't have to have DDA in order to access them. What's that? Marvelous supports. I think they're newer.
They are relatively new. We actually have a family of one of my students that was sharing that resource with us. So it was the first time I had heard of them. They use them for respite care and some other things that just help give the family a break. So like if you need a break for a few hours, they can provide that respite care where they would have somebody that would take care of your child while you were able to go home and do laundry and get things done, or go out and enjoy dinner, kind of.
Go to the grocery store.
Yes. So one thing that I will say is developmental disabilities, DDA, is your long-term funding source. So that is who will pay for things as your child becomes an adult and long after that. So that's why it's so important to apply and get that acceptance from them. That community resource person is huge in helping you navigate that. As soon as you get that person, they are going to reach out to you. They're going to set up things. It will be very infrequent if you are accepted and you have your DDA services at a younger age. But then as you get closer and closer to that time where you're going to be exiting the school system, they will start having practically monthly meetings with you to kind of set up, going to see those adult agencies and trying to figure out what the plan will be after they exit the school system.
And down here is a QR code for it's a Maryland provider search. I know I only found out about it like 2 years ago. I don't know if they just came up with it, but I know Julie and I looked at it. It's amazing. This QR code will help you figure out some of these DDA providers, and that is what I was talking about before. As far as like, I would look them up and pull them up in another search bar and see if they have ratings or whatever, so that you can figure out like more information about them. Because we're not allowed to recommend. So SSI is a thorn in my side. It's a lot of information. This is the website that you can go to apply for SSI. And I'm sorry, it looks like it's a little blurry down there. But you can try to apply prior to age 18 if you're looking for medical assistance. This is one of the gateways to get medical assistance, is applying for SSI. But if you apply under age 18, it is based off of your income as parents. So often people are denied unless they are low income. Then that means their child's denied. But this site, and it's really hard to see, but there is a place that you can select disability for the child, and this up here is over 18 and under 18. I don't know why it's so blurry. I apologize. Hopefully it's not in the document. But so you could try to apply if you are interested in your child getting medical assistance. The reason I bring that up is because a lot of families that contact me say, I don't want it for me. I don't want it for my husband. I want it for my child because they have medical needs or occupational therapy or physical therapy outside of maybe what their insurance can cover. And it is a strain on the family income wise or financial wise. So often people ask me that question about how can we get medical assistance for my child that has a disability. That is one way. I'm looking into some other things that people have suggested as far as getting medical assistance for their child only, not necessarily for them.
So secondary transition, this is something that it starts at age 14. So in IEP meetings, there should be transition pages that you all are talking, that you go over. A student should participate in an interview to the Maryland Digital Portfolio. This is something that Carroll County has done for a long time. The state created a digital portfolio that allows you to pick and choose what piece of it you want to work on. So there is an education piece, a work piece, just a general life piece. It has built-in task cards where students can fill out information, or they can put in a video. They can put in pictures showing them things that they do. The nice thing about this is that while they're in school, we use their school system email, but as they get ready to exit the school system, we are working on them getting their own email address, and then they will be able to access the documents in that digital portfolio forever and ever. They would just go to the website and be able to get that. One of the best stories that the state has shown us as we've looked at that digital portfolio is they had a young man who worked at the school in the media center and could check in and out books, could shelve the books, and could do all of those things. But his communication was not the best. It was hard. It was difficult to understand him. So he wasn't able to really show what he could do when he went on an interview. And they were like, you know what, can we show you this video? And they had multiple videos of him doing the tasks in the school media center. And the public library was like, oh my gosh, yes, you can do all the tasks that we're looking for. And that helped him get that job. So it is something that could be utilized. Right now, a lot of our students who are on alternate standards have one of those, but we have had students who are working towards a diploma also have a digital portfolio. I have a digital portfolio coach who can work with families, because the nice thing about the digital portfolio is not only can your student put in information, but we can make parents a part of that process. So if you catch them doing something at home, doing dishes or some sort of task that shows a work skill, you can then yourself put in those photos or those videos. So there's lots of great things that we can work on with that. So if you haven't heard about that from your case manager, please reach out and we'll make sure to get you guys on board with that. That's fine. We can use that. We just like to, a lot of times when we start at 14, families aren't always as comfortable with their student having their personal email, but if they have theirs, we can use that one as well.
How long was that? Just started 14.
If they're older, that's fine. They can start it at any time. We've had students that have moved into our system and started theirs at 18. So we can do a lot of different things with that. They can start at any time. The nice thing is it's the students, so they don't have to do every single task card. They can pick and choose which ones that put their best foot forward for other people.
Could you give them pictures, like school, that's something?
So
Just has to be like
if a lot of times for our students who have work, who have like the community, I can't talk, it's been a long day, I apologize. If they have an employability and life skills class, or if they're at career and tech, they're taking photos of them doing different jobs and different tasks, and those photos can then be put into that digital portfolio. As long as a teacher gives permission, a lot of times as a case manager, I might say to a parent or to a teacher, hey, Julie's working on this digital portfolio and we're trying to get some photos of her doing these different tasks. Would it be possible for somebody to take a photo of that? Especially in like a tech class, if they're in a foundations of tech class and they're learning how to put together something, to be able to get a picture of the student actually using those tools and things is very beneficial. If it's a student who really wants to go into the art field and they're in an advanced art class and you get a photo of them presenting their artwork or something like that, that works as well. So there's lots of ways that you can do that.
So the next page is going to be information about the MBA. So at age 16, the kids are allowed to start driving, but we have some kids that probably aren't going to be driving maybe at all, or they might be driving at a later date. But a good idea to have would be to have a picture ID. And there's a QR code that will take you to the ID site. And then the application is underneath also, so you can just scan the QR code to take you to the application. We updated this slide because if you can see at the bottom, it says new. Now, I will caution and say that this is not a passed law yet. It is in discussion, but it's called non-apparent disability. And so basically what it says up there is licensed applicants could choose to show that they have a condition that isn't visibly apparent, such as deafness, autism, or other mental or developmental disabilities on a driver's license, moped permit, or other official identification card used by the state. And on the card themselves, the words hidden disability and a butterfly would appear. So if a child needed to show an ID card, so law enforcement or whomever would be able to automatically identify. Again, that has not passed yet. I believe October 1st is the potential when the potential law will pass.
I highly recommend that if your child is not going to get a driver's license, that you get the Maryland state ID before they turn 18, because once they turn 18, they have to have formal mail that's sent to the house in their name, so something from a school or a business type thing. And that's not always easy for a student who's still in school. So I know we at TCA have sent a letter on school system letterhead with the school system envelope to the student, just so that they have at least one piece of mail for that. It's just easier to do that before they turn 18. Oh, my program. So Transition Connections Academy is for 18 to 21-year-old students who are on alternate standards. They've completed 4 years at their high school, and then the IEP team makes a decision as to whether or not they are going to come to TCA. So at TCA, we have 5 different programs right now. We're always looking to see if we can improve on what we're doing. And so we have a program at Carroll Hospital, a program at McDaniel College, a program at Carroll Community College, and then I have 2 programs that operate out of a classroom at Career and Tech, and then they also have a class at Carroll Community College. What we work on is by that time they've completed everything that they need to for state testing. So our focus becomes on functional goals, functional reading, functional writing, functional math, those independent living skills, and vocational skills. So throughout all of our programs, there are some class time. Each program has a different length of time that students are working, but they're either, if you're at Carroll Hospital, you're working 3 hours a day here in the hospital, and then you have an hour of class. If you are at one of the other programs, you might be working an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours a day, and you have classes the rest of the time. Some of our students go out into the community for that work. So we are at places like we just started with the grocery outlet, where we have students fronting shelves, restocking things that people didn't want once they got up to the counter, and those kinds of things. We have students who are working at Carroll Indoor, where we clean the glass, we clean different things there. We also, when it's a new season, we check in all of their uniforms, sort them by size, team, and all of those things. And they just Their concession stand is now taken care of by a company. So we're really trying to get in with that company to get to a point where we can do some of the inventorying and restocking for them. But we go a little bit of everywhere. Our students, it's a little bit of a crazy day. It's a shortened day for those students. They're there from 7:30 until 2, and then they have their bus home. So we do a lot of different things. It's an IEP team decision, but we're also looking for some variety of some things that we could do in the future to add additional programs and things like that. So more to come. You never know what's going to happen in the world of TCA.
And just so you know, and I should have told you guys this, there is actually a big copy of the TCA brochure behind, I think, all the stuff. And there's also a good copy of this behind these documents as well. But this is a potential service provider questionnaire. So fast forward, and at the very top, it'll tell you for adult agency interviews, typically done when you're in the final years of like the JOLI in the Transition Connections Academy. You would start going to some of those adult agencies that I referenced earlier under that umbrella of DDA, and you would go and interview those agencies to see if they're a good match for your child. And those are just some guiding questions that you could ask. You would probably want to make multiple copies of this questionnaire, because I would assume that you would probably go to more than just one agency. I will also, like I said, send this out electronically as well, though, so you have it. The question in red asks if your child uses alternate communication device, if the adult agency has people trained to be able to use alternate communication devices. That's definitely something that's significant. Michelle's going to talk a little bit later on about the technology part with kids. I will say now, and Michelle can explain a little bit more later, but if your child does use a device in Carroll County Public Schools, when your child leaves Carroll County Public Schools, the device stays behind. It's Carroll County Public Schools, so she's going to talk a little bit about accessing devices for your child. And I have also a site for that too.
And the big thing to know with the questionnaire, it's a great piece for when you go to meet with them. You're going to meet with those adult agencies, but then you as a family will decide which adult agencies you're interested in pursuing, and then you're going to apply to those. So when you're in the school system, we're required to provide supports and services as part of an IEP. When you exit the school system and you go into those adult agencies, it's all based on eligibility. So they can tell you no. We've had students I have a student that exited last year that she was not able to get into any of our adult agencies, so they are doing self-directed services for her. So just know that they can tell you no, don't give up, because you can keep going back to them and reapplying. Some of it comes down to how much space they have with their current roster of clients. Some of it comes down to how many employees they have. If you have a student who requires a lot of one-on-one support, they tend to be a little bit more standoffish about whether or not they can meet that student's needs. As one of the big things that I would say to really push with your students, to become self-advocates for themselves, know what their disabilities are, be able to ask for those supports and services that they need, because the more that they can do that, the better off that they're going to be. Adult agencies tend to typically staff on a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio as you're going out on personal supports and on different outings with those adult agencies. So just something nice to know as you're making that plan for as you're getting ready to exit.
Michelle's going to talk more about this, but Maryland Technical Assistance Program, that's a website to take you to that. I will just say, and this is directly from the site, the Department of Disabilities and Maryland TAP enhances the lives of Marylanders with disabilities, older Marylanders, and their families by providing access to assistive tech. So a couple of minutes ago, I talked to you about how if they had assisted tech through CCPS, then it would be left behind because it's CCPS purchased. This site can help you navigate some of those things. It also offers a variety of services, including assistive tech libraries across the state, AT demonstrations, consults, short-term device loans, high-tech AT reuse centers, trainings, webinars, and low-interest financial loan programs. They also provide one-on-one information and referrals to help customers find disability-related services. So that is one site, but Michelle will talk more. Just give a little snippet.
Little snippet.
This is another link to, it's called Maryland Think, Gateway to Health and Human Services. So, and the very top it says, at any age, but particularly a resource for when you leave CCPS, has things like family services, health services, disability services, jobs and employment, food, and cash assistance. And I will also say, when I send this link out to you for the YouTube, if you, I don't know if you guys came to, I do a financial present, well, I don't do it. I have someone come and do a financial presentation and a legal presentation. So you can access those links on there and watch that information. I have the PowerPoint for the financial presentation. I don't have the one from the legal one. So if you're interested in it so that you can kind of like watch it and read at the same time, let me know when I email you this stuff out, and I will email you back the PowerPoint for the financial presentation. I plan on having him come back out next year as well. I've listened to it for 7 years, and I can honestly tell you every year I'm like, wow, because it's so much information to take in. But because he talks about SSI, he talks about the ABLE account, he talks about special needs trusts and things like that. And it really does kind of go into some of the legal aspects too. But I won't talk about them tonight, but you can watch those on the CCPS link. So, but it just made me think of it because some of the things that come up on this website. The Image Center of Maryland is another helpful site, again, at any age, but particularly when they leave CCPS. This site has information about benefits to work counseling, affordable, accessible housing, independent living, and accessible telecommunication. I'm almost done, Michelle. And then must-have papers. So I just found this link and this website very interesting, just for your adult child. It talks about information about Social Security card, the state ID, passports, and things like that. So there's like 3 or 4 pages that are PDF that you can print them off, just to have information about what your adult child might need. Behind all that, like I said, is the TCA brochure, which is easier to read than it is from me snipping it and putting it on the one slide. The adult questionnaire is also attached to that as well, or behind that, sorry. So do you guys have any questions that you want to ask before I tag Michelle in about assistive tech?
So I will tell you all that DDA will also work with the Division of Rehabilitation Services, or DORS. DORS is more of a short-term funding agency kind of, where their focus is on getting students and adults competitive employment. So that is something where, so if you do pre-employment transition services with DORS, that gets you some classes that they offer, as well as summer youth employment, where students get a 4 to 6 week paid employment experience, where they're paired with an adult agency who does the job development, comes in and does some job coaching and makes sure things go okay for them. But they are somebody that you can access. The other place, if you're looking for career-related things after your student exits the school system, Maryland Workforce Development, used to be called Burke. I'm going to date myself and take you way back to what it was when I was there. But they all offer some really good services. Workforce Development offers resume development, practice with interviews, and all sorts of activities. If you have a student who you want to look at potentially getting their GED, they offer courses to help prepare for that. So it just some good other options of places that you can reach out to for assistance with things.
We're tagging Michelle in.
Tagging me out. All right, my turn. So I'm part of the assistive technology team. I'm one of 4 members on our team, and we are based all with communication, and if students need communication devices to be able to express their wants, needs, any type of thing, but also when it comes to assistive technology, it's a lot of things that people don't think about. Some of the other things with AT are not only the high-tech and low-tech devices, but computer programs, writing programs, speech-to-text, text-to-speech, all those type of things that can be implemented throughout the school career. And then what we do as a team is, and I'll get to the MTAP later towards the end, but we help with those transitions as they're leaving the school system and as students are moving on into the adulthood or the Transition Connections Academy and those things. So one of our larger parts of our team is communication, being able to communicate socially, academically, all of those things throughout a student's school career. There's things that we kind of follow by. There's communication requirements within functional communication requirements to establish social closeness with people, to express the needs and wants of the individual, transfer information, right? Super important. And then just some of those, we want our kids to know some of those social etiquette type things that are happening. So our aim as a team is for the person to meet his or her varied communication requirements as intelligibility, specifically, efficiently, independently as possible, and a socially valued member. Right? That's what we want for all of our students that we work with. And to just understand others around them and to be understood as a valued member of society and their circle and their group. Communicational autonomy, this is one thing that we use as kind of our mantra, is being able to say what I want to say to whoever I want to say it to, and whenever I want to say it, but in my own words. So for example, a lot of times, especially with younger kids, and we would find with younger kids that may not have complex communication needs, you always get to, say hi to so-and-so. What if that little kid doesn't want to say hi to an old person walking down the hallway? I don't blame them if they don't want to. So we really want autonomous messages from our students here in our programs. So communication accessibility, there are people in the social environment who understand alternative communication form. They can scaffold into acquisition period and time and placement, and whether it's appropriate asking questions or not asking questions, and prompting, not asking, prompting, but are able and willing to communicate in a manner with those students that gives the individual that maximal communication autonomy, right? And they're guiding and helping and kind of molding that. And that's part of the communication community that we're trying to build throughout the Carroll County community as well, just so it's not happening in the school system. We've now we have communication boards at local playgrounds, not only just school playgrounds, but some of the Hoshawa, I would say it wrong, Krimgold Park, in some areas around the county where they're starting to put up different communication boards. So when just people are out and about, they say, oh, and here's another form, here's another way, but then somebody may be there that needs that to be able to utilize that, and then people can connect through that to try to build that autonomy through to the whole community.
In some businesses.
Yes, in some businesses. So leading into that, so we have we have a chat committee. Anybody's welcome to join. Right, we're always looking for new people. So our chat committee is kind of comprised of CCPS staff, parents, students. We have a student rep on our committee. We have the service providers. We have doors and
Penmar, some of the adult agencies.
Adult agencies come to our meetings, so we can then help to bridge those gaps of when the students leave our system. And what does that look like? How does that look like? How do we get training to the adult agencies and things like that to try to help make it a little more seamless for the students and going into adulthood and into some of the agencies. But we also do things like reaching out to businesses. We have some businesses in Westminster that want to become chat friendly. They want to have picture communication boards in their restaurants so people and families can go in, and the person that has complex communication needs can order their food themselves instead of always having somebody needing to order it for them. They can be more independent. So we're kind of branching out and really getting that the communication community really starting to roll a little bit. Recently we've had a mental health therapist team reach out and say, hey, we would like training so that we can offer mental health therapy to students who have complex communication needs and some counseling to them, within the community. So it's really branching out to bring that full circle.
We also trained a couple of years ago, well, actually more than a couple, it was before COVID, we trained our SR officers on how to use devices since they're in our schools and they're interacting with our kids. We were trying to do some of the EMS or fire departments.
Members. Yeah, and then some of the other, like working with, the chat committee worked with the school system to come up with all the different emergency boards that are in all the schools. So if an emergency happens, there's communication boards that outside people, when they come to deal with the emergency, have them to help communicate with people that might have some difficulties in a time of stress to communicate. So in the county, we have a lot of different communication systems. We have a lot of different languages, a lot of different apps. We have paper versions. It's light tech versus high tech. We leave it a lot we do a lot of collaboration to figure out what works best for students and their team. But it's really, we've had students pick their language, whatever they kind of like attach to. But we have things. Robust language systems are Pod, Touch Chat with Word Power, MindSpeak. There's activity-based things that we also use, like displays and categorical things and taxonomic systems, but like Proloquo to Go Text, Talk Tablet Pro, Touch Chat, Multi-Chat. So there's a lot of options out there. It's not a one shop stop. We as the AT team do not believe in a one-stop shop. We believe in what is customizable for every student and what they might need. We also have core type language displays like LAMP, Pod, Word Power, MindSpeak, and Proloquo to Go. So here's a lot of the big, and it's a lot of topic in our chat committee, trying to help bridge these gaps. And I just want to remind you, so funding devices is huge. Right, because some devices that students use in this county can cost up to $15,000, right? And that's a big price tag. But it's also, I want you to just also think about AT. AT is not just communication devices, right? AT is a lot of different things. Like maybe it's AT wheelchairs are AT. It's any type of assistive technology. A 3D printed ball that helps somebody to write is considered assistive technology. So it's a lot of other things out there. As you go through some of the funding, it's tough. We as a team, Molly and I, so we work together to help the families. So we do the letters for medical necessity as students are getting ready to leave, as they're working with the outside providers and things like that in those adult agencies. We will work with the family from our end because, like Tammy said, those devices have to stay behind because they were purchased with CCPS money. But we will do the paperwork and help you get the paperwork together, do the letter of medical necessity for you to be able to have and present, say, and then we even map out how much does each thing cost. Right? And whatever your student is using, your child is using, then we map out all of those things for you and say, here's the packet. And then you can take it to the different groups and say, these are the things. You can take it to your funding options and say, these are the things that my child needs. And this is how much they are, and this is exactly what it is. So we do that as part of our team support system to the families.
So this is also where SSI, if your child turns 18 and you apply for SSI at that point in time and they receive medical assistance, that's something that the monies could potentially be used for. Also, if you apply for a DDA, the Developmental Disabilities Administration, and they are approved for that, the coordinator of community service that you would be assigned to could potentially help you also navigate some of these waters. So don't feel like, oh no, I left Carroll County Public Schools, I'm on my own, I can't figure this out. It's definitely something to map out using that GTYI timeline. Maybe make some other notes in between if your child needs alternate communication device. But just know in the back of your head that you can always reach, like if you have DDA, your child, you can use that person to help you navigate those waters. And you can always reach out to one of us too.
Yes, we have continued to help families that have graduated and left our system, but for us, like, and with our mantra, we're never going to leave people just kind of dangling in the water. Like, you can always reach back out and say, hey, I've hit a roadblock, or I'm not quite sure what to do at this point, and we'll help you as much as we can. Also with funding with AT, like I said, it's a lot of those little things. Oh, no, one more. It was the same, but not the same.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So this is just other examples of things that you might need funding for, right? Whether there's a vision, hearing, alternative access, that's all those little things that you might need to be able to function with some daily living skills and environmental control, things in your environment. Maybe, we have some students that are, and there's a lot with technology now that are controlling a lot of things in their living area through Alexas and Echoes and things like that. Those can be assistive technology. You can turn your lights on, you can have alarms set, those things are helping daily skills for your child to be successful with helping to live on their own, doing some different things, having the alarm go off. This is now when you need to get ready to go for your job site and things like that. So it's a lot of other things out there that can be considered AT. I think a lot of people really think it's communication or it's a wheelchair, kind of thought. So just really think about what are some of those other things that your child might use that could be considered AT.
And that one page that I had shared, the Image Center of Maryland, I believe that also has a lot of information on there about accessible housing, and also the other things that Michelle was referencing.
So we have like a dynamic assessment process, and that was part of what I was talking about. And as we go through with trialing, we trial AT and AAC devices using and matching the features of it with the student of what suits and fits best. Again, we're not just we don't only use this type of communication device. That's why we have a list of all of those things that we use, because we really want to strive to see what suits each individual student that we have in our system. Also matching it with teacher, caregiver, therapist, things like that. Private assessments, as parents, you can pursue private assessments and bring those assessments to us as well. And then funding via, and Tammy talks a lot about that, DDA and other links, and talking with your case manager. And Julie and Tammy talked a lot about that. But again, just thinking about what are those different things. If you have an outside assessment, please share it with us, so then we can reach and go through and figure out what is the best thing. So this is the MDTAP site that Tammy was talking about earlier. And it's a lot of things. They have a learning library. Their MDTAP is now starting to get into 3D printing and 3D printing some things to be able, but the learning, I think it's called Learning Library for them. I have two different ones that I follow. I follow Tech Out in Pennsylvania as well. Theirs and ours. So they have a lending library where you can reach out and say, hey, we would love to try this type of AT. Do you have one? And you can get on the list. You can borrow it. You can see. That way you're not buying a lot of things to figure out what might work for your environment at home, or different things like that. So there's a lot of information on here. And as you reach out to them, they get right back to you, and they let you know what's what. And you can go there. There's a lot of different options. So I would definitely say check this out, because it's a lot of different. They have multiple locations. I think there's 3 in Maryland, detach for some of the lending, so then like if you're in Garrett County, you don't have to come all the way to Baltimore. So I think they have 3 locations, but it's definitely worth the checkout of different things that they offer and provide and can support families with. And also just if there's a different device that you want to try, mind you, you can always come to us, but there's resources out there as well that you can just kind of surf their site and get ideas from. Then you can come to us and say, hey, I really saw this, and I think this might be really cool for my kid to check out.